Good morning, role players. Can you all hear me out there? Good. Let's get into it. This is In and Out of Character, a podcast about role playing and role players. I cannot tell you all, it is so good to be back. I have been gone for a very, very long time, as you guys may have noticed, to all of you who have listened to me before, and I do appreciate you asking where I've been and how I've been doing. I have to admit that life has been very, very, very crazy lately, but hey, that's okay. We all go through these things in our life. What really matters is if you can continue to do the things that you love, without going crazy. I'll be honest, when I started doing this again, when I finally was able to sit down and start recording again and start reaching out to other role players and having them come back on and talking with them, I thought to myself, is this just going to be a continuation of Season 1? Or should I finally start doing Season 2? Well, it's been a long enough time, so I figured, hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and just call this Season 2. I feel like it's going to be a better way to start off the whole, everything. Don't worry, everything is pretty much going to be the same. I'm going to have role players come on, talk, tell me how they got into role playing, and tell me about their experiences. That is what this podcast is all about. And don't worry, if you want to be on the podcast, you can be. All you have to do is reach out to me. I'll leave my Discord information down below, or you can just fill out the form and I'll get to you when I get down the line. It doesn't matter if you are someone who is very experienced at role playing, or if you're just new at role playing. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you and have you on. I just have to get through everybody. There's a couple of other things that I wanted to do, since this is going to be technically Season 2. I wanted to start having a question of the week at the end of the podcast, talking about your characters. And if you don't want to be on the podcast, feel free to just answer the question and I'll talk about it in the next episode. I think it's going to be a good way to reach out and talk with people. And before I bring in our guest, I really quick just want to give a very big thank you for the patience from everybody in my Discord server, especially all the good friends who I have been role-playing with for a very long time now, and who I feel like I can't give enough attention to right now. With everything going on, I can't get online and role-play in Elder Scrolls Online anymore. It's very difficult to maintain my role-playing experiences, so I'm sort of living vicariously through all of them. And again, you guys, thank you so much for just being here with me and being patient. I hope that everything that I have with the site going on, which I will talk about later in the podcast, and this podcast itself really brings good to the community. And that's what I really want. It's just to bring some good energy to the community. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and bring in Damian from the Roleplay Rejects. And hey, seriously, thanks for listening. I hope I don't seem like I'm gushing too much, but I genuinely enjoy your podcast. I really do.
I really do appreciate that. Like, it's nice to have some form of feedback rather than like from my parents.
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. I I will admit that I'm a person who doesn't find things generally negative in the first place. Like, whenever someone asks me my opinion about a movie, it has to be really bad for me to be like, oh, I didn't like it. Generally, I walk away from every movie or everything going, it was okay. And then, like, there are certain things that makes it better for me. Wesley is so hilarious. I
He's the
love.
fucking best.
I don't know her name, and I'm so sorry, but who is your current GM for Bunkers and Badasses?
Stevie, that would be my wife, actually.
She is so good. And I know that she apologizes a lot for feeling like she isn't like doesn't have enough ready or prepared. She is doing great as a DM, and
She
she
is, right?
is yeah, like
It's her
I'm not
first.
having.
It's her first actual time like running a game. Like we've done a couple things where she's like led a one shot ish kind of a thing, but
Mhm.
yeah, she's doing incredible.
Yeah, I never feel lost. I never feel like, "Oh, what happened?" Like, I did at one point go, "Where's Gary?" when, you're playing that one episode, and then you brought it up in the next episode. But that happens to literally everybody. Like, no one could be at fault for that. That is just a, "Oops, we forgot that an NPC existed." I guess it
So
was just,
the funny,
whoops.
sorry, the funny thing about that is it took me editing like the last two episodes there to
Mhm,
finally remember that Gary existed. Like we didn't even go into the next episode thinking like, are we missing something? I had to
mhm.
like during editing remember that he was a fucking character.
Yeah, it was pretty fun because I think I got oh also Misty, not the player, the character.
Yeah,
Although it is good to see Misty returning in Bunkers and Badasses. Happy
yeah,
she's here.
yep,
Um shout out to Misty if she ever listens to this. But her character when she's describing Misty as the character, um are using the voice and how she does that wispy, that you know what I'm talking about, that wispy
yeah, yeah. The
thing.
wisp or like ethereal kind of a thing.
She makes me feel like it's a character out of Adventure Time. And I know that this is gonna sound silly, but I really enjoy the way that she uses her voice for these characters.
Yeah, she's doing good because she was saying initially, like before we even started, that she was a little bit worried that she wasn't gonna have like a good voice for the different characters. Everyone's gonna sound the same and everything, but I think she's doing she's doing just fine.
All right, everybody at home, I'm so sorry. I am here with Damian from the Roleplay Rejects, who I hope to get to know much more in the near future. And he and his group have been doing a tabletop role playing game podcast for, oh god, like a year now, almost.
It's gonna be a year in September. September 12th of last year was when we first released.
I listened to literally everything that y'all have done, and I the only thing I haven't listened to is the last episode of Bunkers and Badasses. So I'm a episode behind. The last thing that I heard was about the giant, and I did cry a little bit.
Oh, that was so sad.
It was sad. And when I was listening to that one, I was like, "How many is this now? This is they have got to have been at this for a while now, pretty regularly, right? You
Yeah.
barely miss a release time."
Yeah, there was one time in I think it was June, July kind of time frame
Mm-hmm.
where the wife and I and the kid all got COVID, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
It took fucking year number 3 to finally get us, but yeah, I mean we're all fine now, but yeah, other than that, we have been hitting it every single week.
It's has been great. So Damien, how did you get into role playing? Whether it be tabletops or otherwise, what was your journey into that process?
All right, uh, I'm gonna kind of go on a rant here. It's gonna be a really weird journey here.
Oh, I love rants. Go for it.
So, I served in the Marine Corps for 5 years, just the
Mm-hmm.
one term. But while I was there, me and my buddy, what we would often do is when we were just kind of hanging out in the barracks room, or eventually when we got like on base housing with our wives and everything,
Mm-hmm.
we would say two numbers. The first number would be the season, the second
Mm-hmm.
number would be the episode for South Park. And we would just start watching it.
Uh-huh.
And we really liked the one called Cock Magic. That's
Were they, were they were playing Magic the Gathering?
where they were playing Magic the Gathering. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were like, it'd be really funny if we played that. So we did, and now both of us are super obsessed with with Magic the Gathering, but that kind of like led down this path of nerddom. So when I was hanging out at the barracks one of the days, a guy came by, was just bullshitting, and mentioned that he plays Dungeons and Dragons. So I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, okay, are you looking for another player? Because I'd love to try it out. I've never played any of that kind of stuff. It always seemed kind of interesting. Is that cool? So he said, yeah. Went over to his house. We actually played on it was a fold out table
Mm-hmm.
that they had been doodling on. And some stereotypes about Marines are true. There were a lot of dicks all over the table. But yeah, I tried playing that and I really liked how, just kind of like how narrative it was, how cool a lot of the powers were and everything. So I started trying to see if other people wanted to play or if I could keep on playing that game with them. Sadly, it only lasted about 2 sessions before we got busy with other things, but I invited some other friends over, started getting uh, a game together. That's when another one of my friends said that he likes Pathfinder a lot more than, excuse me, than D&D 5e.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. I'm a big fan of Pathfinder over D&D 5e.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoyed 5e more than fourth edition, but third edition D&D was probably my favorite. And that's probably the reason why I like Pathfinder so much, is because Pathfinder is much more it's much more related to third edition than it is to the other ones.
Yeah, because they split at that point with Wizards of the Coast doing their thing, and then Paizo. I like it a lot more, and I'll get into that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but this buddy of mine started running some Pathfinder games. I got really into it. I because I'm an idiot, I went with a strength-based wizard. Like,
Strength. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. I
no,
promise.
no, it's fine to laugh at me. That was an awful idea. I mean, I got it from that World of Warcraft movie that they did,
Mm-hmm.
and you know
Yep.
that orcish shaman guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I liked that, so I just tried to build him. I just went with a wizard though for some reason. So there I was, casting dancing lights and then trying to run up and kill rats with a great axe.
Hey,
Near,
the best part of role playing is you can role play literally anything, and if it works, awesome. If it doesn't work, at least you tried.
yeah, I have an idea for a another strength-based wizard, but one that'll actually work maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so started doing that, and that's when I decided that I wanted to try jamming a game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I tried it a couple times. At first, though, I was playing with not to like shit on anyone, right? If this is the way that you like to play, that's perfectly fine. It's just not the way that I like to play. These players were kind of min maxy, so they were mostly going for like as high of stats as they possibly could. RP be damned,
Right.
kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I used to also kind of be sort of that person. I prefer more role playing than I do anything else. But when I first actually started, I don't know why, but I was just like, I want to build the absolute best character I possibly can, who can do everything and anything very, very, very well.
Right.
And uh, yeah, I found out a little bit later that it just wasn't as fun for everyone else. So I stopped trying to make characters. Uh, how do I say this? I tried to stop making perfect characters, and I started making good characters, which there is a difference.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, everyone understands the notion that it feels bad when you can't do something, but
Mm-hmm.
having those kinds of faults really helps round out the character. And I as well, it took me a bit to fully understand and appreciate that. Understanding that it's not just, it's not your story. It is
Mm-hmm.
everyone's story that you're all trying to go
Uh,
through.
Absolutely. One of my favorite podcasts, besides yours, I just want you to know, besides yours.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
Uh, so it's Steve and it's me and Steve talk tabletops. talk about tabletops. And one of the things that they said, to quote Steve, is that when people who like tabletops essentially are adults, are near adults who like to play cops and robbers. And you can't play cops and robbers if the cops absolutely overpower the robbers, basically,
Right.
or vice versa. The robbers always win. It's a story about everybody, like you just said.
It-
I love role playing.
yeah, I mean, you've got this podcast, you've got that website that's going up, you've got a lot of indicators.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, go ahead, continue on. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. So it took me a bit of trial and error to really like figure out what I'm doing as a GM. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
not there yet. I'm slowly working into it, but I used to be one of those GMs who had like the GM character that kind of got thrown in, one of those types where I was like trying to be one of the party also while running this game, and
Mm-hmm.
that's
It's hard, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's a
It's
very fine line.
Oh, absolutely. Because you also want to play, and sometimes just setting up the pieces just to see them knocked over isn't as fun as also being able to knock over the pieces, because just you can't be a part of the party completely if you are the DM, because you know what you're thinking, unfortunately, as the DM.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how good you are at like separating yourself and your knowledge from your character's knowledge, like
Hmm.
there's going to be that little bit of overlap.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The in character and out of character line, yeah, absolutely. Um, I, I, how I got around that. Actually, I don't even know if I've actually gotten around that, to be honest with you. I build dungeons ahead of time, or I build segments and stories, and the segments are the players have to figure it out. Like, I'll put all the pieces in a place, and they have to figure it out, and I just try to enjoy acting out the characters, and that's where I try to get my enjoyment from the game.
Oh yeah, or just like setting someone else up just to see
Hmm.
their whatever they go off on. Like I really liked in Star Wars where like Wesley's character had his moment of talking with Master Fawn. Like
Hmm.
Kyrus there was all, pissy about Master Fawn literally cutting someone's leg off. Uh Supposed to be a Jedi, you're not supposed to do that kind of
So,
thing.
right.
But yeah, then it's like just sitting back and just hearing Wesley ask, just did you enjoy it? Was just incredible. Like it's just one sentence, but it hit. It really hit.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in your show that like actually hits, and I don't know if I can say this enough, and I don't know if saying this will ever just give you enough credit. But you guys do a very good job of explaining your characters' actions and the reasoning behind those actions. And besides for just like the numbers, which I do enjoy numbers in a tabletop podcast. But the reactions and the actions and the reactions just make it so much better, and you guys do such a good job. And like
Thank
the
you.
yeah, like the again with the giant, and I'll make sure to link these episodes in the show notes so people can go listen to them, or maybe the first episodes of each one, so that way people can get started on listening to them.
Yeah, you can also find us at anywhere that you listen to podcasts and at our website, roleplayrejects.com.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
No, feel free to mention as much as possible. Um, but what was I saying?
The
I was
giant.
talking about the giant. Yes, like y'all's reaction and including the conversation at the very end of that. Um, just it felt good to hear that.
Oh, the little like out of character, like holy
Hmm.
shit.
Yeah, because it's also about you as players, um, learning about these characters and playing them out and how they affect you. Like a lot of things that people don't take into account when it comes to role playing, whether it be in MMOs or tabletops, is that the characters can also affect the players, and not
Oh,
just other
absolutely.
players, but yourself as well. And then you learn from your characters. Also, on a quick tangent, I've been wanting to tell you this ever since I started listening to Bunkers of Badasses, but I wanted to wait until now. You sound like Batman when you talk in Fudge Puppy's voice.
I know. It's it's hard to get like that perfect blend of
I
like an actual psychopath and like
you do it good. You do it good though. Like the laugh is great. The laugh is great. The reactions are great, and you almost got me in trouble at work.
really.
Uh, yes, I was. So we are not supposed to have headphones out at the factory, but everybody does it.
Okay.
And the bosses have been coming down hard on people in the factory about listening to headphones recently. Hasn't stopped anybody. Spoiler alerts, hasn't stopped a single soul. Because now people are just listening to everything on boom boxes. And
Okay.
yeah, I know. And now they have a new thing to do. But anyways, so I have a headband I wear when I'm doing my job. And Fudge Puppy, who is a psycho from Bunkers and Badasses, just to fill in everybody.
And
Uh,
Bunkers and Badasses is that think Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep from Borderlands 2, but it's
mm-hmm,
basically a Borderlands psycho, just an actual insane person.
right. Um, kills Fred, just murders Fred, the fig farmer.
Oh yeah, Fred the Fig
Fred
Filcher.
Fig Filcher, Fred Farrell the fifth Fig Filcher.
I
Uh,
I stumbled the whole time. Like if you notice, I was trying to kind of be quiet because I was constantly trying to think of some alliteration to do that episode, and I could just not keep up. I mean, Joseph
mm-hmm,
was going off, Wesley was going off, Stevie was going nuts with it. I don't know how she kept it straight.
yeah. And when that happened and everyone started laughing, I laughed along with it. But it was like a burst out laugh, and my boss is like right here,
Oh god,
and and he looks at me and goes, "What was that?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought of a joke," and I walked away, and I didn't stop.
that's a good save.
And I was like, "Oh, I just thought of a joke," and then I laughed before he could ask me what the joke was because I didn't know what joke I was gonna say.
Yeah, you gotta just walk out of there at that point. Fucking A.
Anyways, I'm so sorry. I stopped you yet again. Feel free to continue on. You were
Oh no,
talking
you're good.
about
Uh,
DMing and having to find yourself or find your role in DMing.
Oh yeah, so it was one of those guys had their own like player in the game, like one of the characters or whatever. Obviously, it's just not that good because then you're a little bit too focused on like seeing showing like, hey, look how cool this guy that I made is, and not
Mm-hmm.
focusing enough on everyone else.
I
Uh,
know.
yeah. Then I got out of the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And for a good bit there, I wasn't doing any role playing. It wasn't until actually like a few months before the pandemic happened, I started to get back in touch with some of the people that I used to play role playing games with.
Mm-hmm.
Got together, started up a new game, tried to play Rise of the Rune Lords, another Pathfinder adventure path. That one's a classic. It was their first one.
Mm-hmm. I have played through the whole thing.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I
Yes,
have yet
it
to play
was
through a whole thing.
it was one of my favorite things, and it took a very long time to do it because the people I was role playing with had very weird schedules, and
Oh, that's rough.
I DM'd it, and it was rough because I was like, everyone's like, hey, maybe we should start something new, and I was like, no, we're finishing this. We are more than halfway through. We are finishing this. Dang it!
That's that's kind of rude.
I know, but I really wanted to finish it. I
No,
feel
no,
so bad.
not on you. Like it's rude on them for just being like, yeah, you poured your heart and soul into this thing. Let's do something else.
No, unfortunately, it's just people's time, and when it comes to long games, like right now, I am also playing through Bunkers and Badasses with my friends, and
Oh, how are you
because my
liking it?
friend, oh, I love it. I think it's great. I'm playing a Elementalist sniper, and like you guys, I'm doing so much damage. with my sniper rifle, which has like two different elementals on it,
Oh,
and like
jeez.
I both set a boss on fire and then immediately froze him solid after that. Once his shields were down, it was really fun. Um, and we have another character who's a claptrap, but he's a what was it, technomancer?
Oh, okay. Weird.
Yeah, so he has a death trap companion, and we have another friend of mine, ours, who is a I don't know what their one is, but they are also a psycho. And
Okay.
then we have the basic enforcer because another one of our friends, she really likes the game, she wants to play it, but she's not really into role playing. She just wants to play.
Okay,
So
yeah.
she, yeah, and we don't mind that at all. And she's just playing the basic enforcer, soldier enforcer character. Um,
But it's good to have that kind of middle ground. If everyone's
mhm.
out doing their own craziness, it's good to have the base to kind of
Yeah,
go back to.
I'll send you a picture of my character later.
Ooh, all
Ooh.
right.
Yeah, so my friend Maddie, she is a very creative human being. She and I way back when, like the first time I tried to start a business, it was with Maddie and a couple of other friends, and it was called Boxfort, and we were making board games. We got close to completing several different games, but we could never get them off the ground. Maddie is someone who really loves to create, just endlessly turn out ideas and such like that. So she's campaigning Bunkers and Badasses right now, and it's really good. It's really, really, really fun.
Nice. Yeah, I'm trying to make a not a board game, but a TTRPG actually,
Hmm.
like in the background. But I can get into that later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But feel free to continue on with what you're saying. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I love the tangents, honestly. I mean, you've listened to our podcast. We go on them constantly.
It's great. Like, again, because it's like you don't want to listen to somebody who sounds robotic almost. You want to like when people are turning in to listen to this, we're trying to listen to real human beings talk about real stories. Thank you, JJ. Are you okay? Sorry, give me 1 second.
No, you're good.
JJ, are you okay? He's laying down. He's mad at Daddy because Daddy's talking.
Oh, gotcha.
It's fine. He is doing okay.
Okay.
But when people go on tangents, it's signifying to the listeners, to the people watching these things, that again, you're a real human being and you're talking about real interesting conversations. um I did not expect to listen to hear talks about strippers when I first started listening to that one episode, though.
Yeah, we try and keep it like mostly on the level, but I mean sometimes I mean, I don't mean to toot our own horn, but we're kind of hilarious sometimes.
You guys are. I'm being honest. And if anything ever happens to Wesley, I'm gonna riot. I'll be
Oh,
honest.
me too. I mean, basically we'll shut down and that'll be it. Yeah,
Once
he's
Wesley decides to stop role playing or stop playing tabletops, I'm done with you guys. Sorry, can't do it no more.
no, I'd be done with us too.
No, you guys are all great. Everybody I've listened to is really, really interesting, really funny, really into their positions. It's just a good listen to it. If you are listening to this podcast, stop. Go listen to their podcast. Just give it an episode.
No. Finish this one out. Check out some of the other ones. You've got some very good conversations in here. Like for your podcast, this one that we're all currently on right now. I really like the format that you've got. It's very loose. It's
Hmm.
just go off on tangents, and that is kind of one thing that I like making sure that we include in a lot of our stuff, because what happens is we just come down here, we sit, and I'll just click record, and
Hmm.
we'll just bullshit until one of us decides to like actually start playing. So I love having that, listening to that. It kind of gives you a little bit more of a connection to someone beyond just a character. Like it's
Hmm.
all well and good if you can play, you know, if you can play as Bran McShoots a lot. Uh,
I love that. I love. Hold on. One more thing. One more tangent. I'm so
you're
sorry.
good. You're good.
I love Vec so much as a personality. What's God? I'm having a brain freeze right now. What is the What's their player's name? I'm so sorry.
Joseph.
Joseph. I knew that. Thank you. I'm so sorry, Joseph.
No, you're good.
Um, did Joseph write out all of the possible acronyms for his character before
Uh,
this?
he continues to write them out. Just as he's, to my understanding, as he's like sitting here and like listening to everyone else, he'll like have an idea pop into his head and he'll write it down. Or if he's like at work or something, he'll just pull out a notebook and he'll write one down so that then he can just really play around with it.
But it's an interesting mechanic, JJ. Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. Let
No,
me
no,
take
no,
care
you're
of him
good.
for just a moment.
Take your time.
I am so sorry about that.
No, you do not need to apologize. I mean, my kid's about your kid's age, and like
Hmm.
I get it.
Yeah. He heard me laughing, and he thought it was cute for him to start laughing. He
Ah,
also
gotcha.
he also does have a show on right beside him, just to kind of help him maintain his attention elsewhere. Because if it's just me and I'm talking, he's going to want my attention.
Oh no, I fully understand that one. Like if I'm uh sometimes I'll just be like sitting on the couch messing around on my phone or whatever, and then uh my kid will come up and like just start pushing me and like, Dad, you try it. And I'd have to like figure out what she's wanting me to try.
Yeah. And they're holding out their hand and like doing that whole grabby motion to grab you. That's what Jaden does. He will walk up to me and say, come, Daddy, try." And he'll hold his hand up and he'll start making like a grabbing motion, like he wants me to take his hand.
Yeah.
So I'll take his hand. He'll lead me somewhere. And right now we're doing potty training, so he wants me to go potty.
Oh, how's that going? Because for us, it's a
It,
struggle.
It's going. So I've gotten him into the habit of as soon as he wakes up, bathroom before we do anything else, before breakfast, before anything. It's time for the bathroom. Um, I started this off a long time ago by first making sure that whenever we wake up, the very first thing that we do is go to the bathroom and brush our teeth.
Oh,
And
smart.
now we go to the bathroom and use a potty before we brush our teeth. And
Okay.
that way, yeah, that way he knows. And then after we do that, after we brush our teeth, he takes his gummy vitamins, and he that completes his morning ritual. And then we go get his breakfast and stuff like that ready. Number twos are the hardest thing so far, but he's getting used to that because he just does it right now. He doesn't understand that he needs to hold it. Like
Oh yeah.
if he feels like he has to go number one, then he'll be like, "Daddy, potty," and then he'll just go in there and use the potty. But right now, he doesn't understand that he needs to hold the number two and go do that in the bathroom.
For us, it's kind of the opposite. Actually, is number ones like she'll just go. Number
Just
twos,
let it
she's
happen.
usually yeah. Number two, she's usually kind of on the ball with it sometimes.
Hmm.
But
We're getting better at the number twos. Slowly but surely. Today his stomach was really upset, so
oh, that's
uh,
always
we
rough.
yeah we did not get to do that at all today. But otherwise,
Yeah,
pie going great.
nice. Yeah, I'm sure
It's
this is definitely something that all the
oh
listeners are wanting to listen to also. So sorry about that.
okay, even as like even as a role player, like when parenthood becomes involved, it's just another. Not I'm not gonna say it's an obstacle, but it is something else that you have to tackle when you have like a hobby like this. Because again, we were playing earlier in the kitchen, and my son, he has all of everything he ever needs. He has plenty of toys to play with. He has plenty of coloring books to play with. He has plenty of books to tear up. Um, I can put on a show for him if he likes. Whatever he wants. No, he wants daddy's attention. Period. He wants to be a part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, only kid syndrome is definitely a big thing. When Avison was younger, she would be down in the basement with us. She'd have her show on. She'd have plenty of toys and everything. and we'd be trying to, play our role playing games. But it got to a point though where she was way more interested in everything we were doing, trying to grab our minis, tell
Mm-hmm.
us like, "Oh, look, so cool, huh?" Yeah.
Give me just a second more. I am so sorry.
No, it's fine, man.
Ah! Hi, buddy. I am talking with a good friend. Okay. I love you. There we go. Can you hear
All
me?
good. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol.
All right, yeah.
Paw Paw Patrol or something like that. So my son actually likes scary things.
Really?
Yeah, he loves spooky, scary things. This is actually how I know he is definitely my child because when I was growing up, I loved Goosebumps, I loved Tremors, I loved Jurassic Park. I love things that scared me as a kid, and it
Huh.
has persisted as an adult.
Yeah, let's see, what did I end up watching? Oh, I watched oh shit, it's that one. Oh, Darkness Falls as a
Mm-hmm.
kid.
Yeah, I know
Uh
what you're talking about.
yeah, I ended up wetting the bed for a little bit after that.
Oops. I used to be the first time I saw Tremors. Um, I used to be afraid of the ground for a period of time. Uh, and I know it's silly now as an adult, but understand I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7. And so
Yeah,
I had a habit of climbing trees and not coming down. And then it became such a problem that people were just like, leave him in the tree and he'll come down for dinner. And that is what
jeez.
happened.
Uh, so we went back on vacation back home to Washington State uh back in June actually. And my kid climbed a tree for the first time ever.
Hmm. Hmm.
I honestly didn't think that she would have been able to do it, but once she got up there, I got scared shitless because I wasn't sure if I was supposed to climb up there, if I was supposed to just
Right?
like wait for her to fall or something.
I know. Like, okay. And again, no amount of role playing has ever prepared me to being a parent. I don't know if any amount of pretend will ever prepare anybody for being a parent.
Oh, never, never.
When I took my son to a lake in Alabama to see some of my family, they had this park and they had like 3 different types of slides. One small one for kids, for kiddos, a medium sized one, and a really tall one. And Jaden, when I was playing on the slides and stuff like that, and I sat down on the bench, and he goes over to the tall one, like this really tall one, and he climbs the ladder like it's nothing. He's three and a
Jesus.
half. Yeah, this is right when he turned 3 years old. No, right before he turned 3 years old. Yeah, he was 2.5 because this was July
Jesus.
last year. Yes, and he climbed that sucker, no problem. Didn't care about a what, no fear in this boy. He climbed up that ladder, slid down, and said, "Daddy, I did it," and did it again. And I'm having a heart attack because I keep a good eye on him. But when
Yeah.
I sat down, I was like, "Do I just let him go? Do I let him do it? Do it? Does he?"
Yeah, you have to roll the dice there because you're like, I don't know if this is just part of the development kind of a thing, like, or should I actually be the helicopter parent that I am, that I know I am, and
Yeah.
like, yeah,
So I did the most sensible thing because I didn't want to like freak out and show my son that there's a reason to freak out. So I stood up and like, hey, do you? I do this nervous thing where I put my arms, I cross my arms
okay,
in front of me whenever like I'm super nervous, like, and I put my hands underneath my armpits for some reason. Don't know why I do it. I've just always done it, and I just slowly walked over there, be like, "Yeah, buddy, good job. You're doing it. You're doing it." But secretly on the inside, I'm like, "No, no, 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 no."
yeah, like that thing is 3, 4 times taller than you. You could seriously hurt yourself,
It
but
was 3 times taller than me, and I am six
Jesus,
foot one. Yes, he climbed that sucker, no problem. Didn't care.
what
He
a
just
champ!
I know, and like, but there are things like he can do that, but he can't do other things yet. Uh,
Yeah, like my kid will fall just walking. like
Mm-hmm.
flat ground and everything, and yet she climbed a tree easy peasy. She started climbing ladders at the park, like, yet she'll fall just from walking.
I hope to kind of get on the to stay on the same topic, but kind of get into back into the topic of role playing. I hope I can get my son into tabletops. If he doesn't like to do it, then he doesn't like to do it. Um, I
I'm hoping the exact same thing. She actually already has her first set of dice.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Like there's a game store nearby that we'll go to, and whenever we bring her, she knows right where the dice are, and she'll go over there and she'll, pick out a die or two and bring them home.
Mm-hmm.
Have no interest in rolling them whatsoever, but we'll just kind of like fumble around with them, look at the numbers and everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still pretty cool because I can remember my first set of dice too. I still actually have my first set of die.
Really?
They are yellow and orange. Um, they you can see through them. They are so old that the faces have been worn off of them because I've had them for 15 years now.
Jesus, I don't think I have, and I don't even remember what my first die set are or set was.
um,
Whatever the appropriate term is.
the die first set of die or
Yeah.
dice die
Guises, the fucking plastic things.
the things that we roll,
Yeah,
the things that look like candy that we can't eat.
yeah. Uh, I
Um,
I do really like one of them though. I got it for my birthday, not this past year, but the year before. It is a cadaver die.
a
So
cadaver die,
yeah, like made
like a
from a medical cadaver, like the bones of a medical cadaver.
oh, that's what I was. Okay, not exactly what I was thinking. I don't know. When you said cadaver die, I thought of like a fleshy, like a fleshy dice,
Oh
like a
no,
fleshy die, and
that just grosses me out.
and like, or even just like a fleshy looking die, like not
Oh
exactly,
yeah.
yeah, but like the color of it, and maybe just a wee bit squishy. And I was like, how is this? Where? What?
No, it's made out of the bones of a medical cadaver.
Oh, that is kind of cool though. That is very cool though. I will be honest.
Yeah, it's morbid, cryptic, whatever you want to call it, but I think it's really cool. I kind of hope that I have my own die set made for my bones if I get like amputated or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want done with them.
You just like in your will donate my body to the role players.
Yeah.
The whole body,
The whole thing.
everything, the
Yeah.
whole thing. See what they can do with it. Maybe somebody will make a map out of your flesh one day.
There we go. Gotta have. I'm writing that one down.
So in an effort to kind of prepare myself for my son eventually getting into this, if he does want to get into it, it's not like I'm gonna pressure him into doing this hobby with me. Um, I kickstarted this thing. I kickstarted this tabletop called Animon Story, and Animon is like this weird mixture of Pokemon and Digimon in a tabletop role playing format.
Interesting.
Oh yes, and it's definitely made for kids. So I can't wait to get that. Like I'm always like on the lookout for how I can get my kids into it, and I know that there are role playing games out there designed specifically for kids. So it's just like one of those things I want to look for. Um, which is another reason why I wanted to make this site because it's just like how can I go through and find these things other than googling kid friendly tabletop role playing game.
Yeah, we got to start the indoctrination process young to really get
Oh
them
god,
brainwashed into.
super early. Every single day after potty breaks, I sit in front of a TV and it's just have you seen that scene in Clockwork Orange where he's like watching they have his eyes open and he's watching a show. Have you ever seen Clockwork Orange?
I have not seen Clockwork Orange, but I swear that I have seen that scene.
Oh god, yes, it was a meme for a while. I don't know if it's still a meme. Well, I don't hold his eyes open. So nobody has to panic. But I do sit there, and it's just like on the TV. It's like a bunch of flashing roll d20,
Yeah. Oh
roll
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just roll d20, and then it's like a scene of a venturing group in a campground, and then roll d6, just super
Yeah, like
fast all the
single frames of just like make a background for your character. Just
time.
yeah, all the classics.
um, to get away from that topic, what are some of your favorite characters that you've had the pleasure of role playing as so far?
Oh, role playing as.
Like
So
your just some of your favorite characters.
I haven't gotten to actually role play too well. I guess NPCs, I do role play a lot of them because eventually, right, with the whole starting it back up just a little bit before COVID, I was the GM for multiple different games that we ended up doing. There were a couple games that I was a part of where I was a character, had some interesting character concepts. Those ones fizzled, however, because of I just didn't like how the GM was playing playing the game. Not saying that there's anything wrong with you know different GM's styles, but he was very very by the book. And
Mhm.
I fully understand and appreciate that being, by the book has its merits. Like you'll hear me, I'll, call things out, or I'll be like, oh, I don't think it actually works that way, kind of a thing. But when it gets in the way of realism,
Mhm.
or like, I mean, we're playing fantasy, right? So realism isn't really the concept, but I don't know. There's a happy medium between trying to play the game for its crunchiness, for like all of the different rules and numbers and everything, and trying to just have a good story. Some systems are more designed for that story kind of an aspect.
Mhm.
Other games, Pathfinder is probably the biggest example. You play for a lot of their crunchiness.
Right.
Like
It's the whole rules versus fun conversation.
yeah, and I truly honestly think that there is need for both of them.
Oh yes, absolutely. Because I mean, a lot of people have fun using the system,
Oh
and
yeah.
a lot of people has a system to have fun. It's just it's a circle thing.
Yeah, and like th- someone has, painstakingly tried out different rules and everything, and they wrote these things down in their rule books for a reason. There's something in there that like it makes sense for. Obviously, no game creator is going to get everything, but
Right.
they usually have a good reason for it. And frankly, if you don't like it, that's just kind of a discussion to just have at the table of like, hey, this rule, it makes sense kind of, but I just don't think that it really makes this experience fun. And that's, again, importance of session zeros, or just to have that quick aside real quick in the midst of a game, even just, hey,
Mhm.
uh, I think maybe we could do it better if we do this kind of a thing. Like,
Mhm.
rules are a guide and you should try to adhere to them as much as possible, but if you need to homebrew stuff, homebrew it. Um,
Right.
but yeah, so anyways, I have been kind of the dubbed the eternal GM. I think Misty's the one
Ah,
who has coined that phrase for
yeah.
for,
I
for me.
and I hate that for you too, because like now everybody is always going to be looking at you as a GM. And
I I've grown to love it.
you.
Yeah. It so at first, right, I had my character who was like part of the party, but I was still GMing and everything, and I thought that that's how I could still have fun while being a GM. It wasn't until starting to play that Rise of the Rune Lords game, starting to get started with our Kingmaker game, which has been going on. I mean, with the podcast, we haven't gotten to play it as much, but
Mhm.
uh, before the podcast started, we were playing that for over a year, and
Mhm. Which
how the
is good, by the way. Like to have a campaign go on that long is great.
the cool thing too is that so the Kingmaker campaign is broken up into 6 different parts.
Mhm.
We are maybe halfway through part number 2 after that.
Wow, that's
Y-
great.
Yeah, I love it. so much. But yeah, like I'm starting to like I really like being able to incorporate my own thing. Like we've basically tossed out the normal story in that Kingmaker game, and I've made it my own.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now in the story, uh, my wife plays the Baron of this newly developed kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
and she is actually on her way with the party to go and fight off against her orcish mother, who is causing all sorts of havoc.
Hmm.
Not at all in the game whatsoever. The orcs aren't even supposed to be there,
Yeah,
but
I was just searching my mind through what I know about Kingmaker to see like where you were at this point, and yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Like, yeah, I just adapting it to make it our own, and I really love the concept behind Kingmaker because like the story
Mm-hmm.
sucks. I'm just gonna throw it out there. The
Mm-hmm.
baseline story is not good. They try and fix it a bit in the video game that you can get on like Steam or PlayStation
Mm-hmm.
or whatever.
Believe it or not, I actually have it, and
It's
I
pretty
have
good.
played I've played through it a little bit. I've never been able to finish it, just because I don't have the time for it.
It is a huge time commitment, and if you wait too long on it, I mean, it's the same thing with like The Witcher or with Red Dead Redemption or any of those longer term games. If you leave it alone too long, you've forgotten too much stuff. And when you pick
Mm-hmm.
it up again, you're like, I really should just restart. And you're never going to finish it.
Right. Oh, please tell Wesley and your wife, or if they listen to this, please let them know that I am also a huge fan of the Horizon games. Because I know that they talk about it quite often. Horizon Forbidden West and Zero Dawn.
Yeah, actually, the wife got the collector's pack thing
I'm
for
jealous.
Forbidden West. So
Hmm.
we've got I'm actually looking at it right now, the Tremor Tusk figure
Oh,
or
the
model.
giant.
Yeah.
We're done. All right, everybody. That was the Roleplay Rejects and Damian. Go check out their crap. I don't know. We're done here. Goodbye. Uh, um, that was so this conversation actually reminds me of another thing I wanted to ask you was like this tabletop thing that you're doing. I shouldn't call it a thing. This tabletop podcast that you're doing. Does it leave you guys time to actually play like other games without the risk of people listening to you or as a part of this I don't want to say business, but probably should say business that you're trying to grow.
I mean, it is
uh
technically a business, I guess,
mm-hmm.
but it does eat up a lot of that time.
Right.
Because before we would have Kingmaker once to like 4 times a week that we would
Mm-hmm.
end up playing it, but obviously everyone's busy. We couldn't really keep up doing it more than once a week. And then when we started the podcast, we're uh, pretty busy with that. Um, that being said, though, what we try and do, just a little but peek behind the curtain, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We try and record multiple sessions a week so that then we have the opportunity to still, like, go on a vacation or try and go play Kingmaker if we're not, feeling in the mood for the podcast kind of episodes, or even to try and start up a new show that we're looking to get started at some point because we're trying to do a Blades in the Dark kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that what is Blades in the Dark?
the sun has exploded. The entire world is an endless night, and when the great cataclysm that got rid of the light in this world happened, it also opened the gates of the dead. So it's like a steampunk kind of setting. So
Mm-hmm.
think like Industrial Revolution kind of a thing. You have electricity, but it's not like you have, all of the amenities that you have today.
Mm-hmm.
And you play as a group of criminals in the city of Duskfall or Duskwall that is surrounded by lightning towers, which are fueled by demon blood, obviously.
Goodness.
And that is to keep the the spirits at bay outside of the city, but inside is a just it's nothing but criminals and some like corrupt officials and cops trying to keep things in quote unquote order. So the game is very, very loose. You can basically do whatever you want, but it works in heists. So you do a heist to claim territory from this other group or to steal something that's going to get you a lot of coin. Uh, kind of things like that. You slowly grow up your criminal organization as other horrible things happen. People die, they come back as spirits and all sorts of all sorts of cool stuff.
Oh, you can actually play this on Roll20 as well. Very cool.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Did not know that.
yep. While you are speaking of this, I decided to do some quick research into it myself, just to make sure, like, just to kind of see what we were on about. It looks really cool. I
Uh,
wish I had I wish I was doing like a video thing of this and I could throw it up there, and let people see this. But instead, I will just leave a link to it in the description down below. That way, people can go find it. It is
yeah,
actually really cool looking.
it is. I think it's almost ubiquitously coined as the greatest role playing game ever created. Um, I don't know
Really,
if I would go that far, but I'm
I
only
have
saying that because I have not played it yet.
actually no. Now that we've been talking about it, a lot of some of the other podcasts I listen to have talked about this game before and talked about how excited they were about this game. So
It's
there you go. There you go, everybody. Go play it. Go look at it at the very least.
Yeah, the system behind it too, because I'm a rules junkie. The system behind it is really interesting too, because you're rolling just it's nothing but d6s,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea is that if you roll a 1 to a 3, you don't do the thing. If you roll a 4 or a 5, you do the thing, but there's also an unintended consequence in doing the thing. And if you
Mm-hmm.
roll a 6, you do the thing, no consequences. So it kind of like sprinkles in that little feeling of gambling with every action that you try and do, because you could win, but you could also have some crippling injury because of that, or someone could be have a vendetta against you, or any.
Hello. I lost you.
Can you still hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Where did you lose me at?
I lost you at you were talking about rolling the dice. You were talking about the gambling. You were talking about um you had said 4 to 5. Something
Oh,
happens but with consequences. 6, you get the consequence. Or you get it with no consequence, and that feels a um. God, I wish I didn't have ADHD, or else I'll be able to repeat this back
oh
to you
no, you're
exactly as you
good.
said it.
Yeah, so like if you it gives that sprinkling of gambling
Mm-hmm.
in that kind of a game, or like in the game intrinsically, and it really fits with the whole criminal aspect of trying to gamble, not just physically with coin, but also with like your lives and the lives of others. Like
Mm-hmm.
it really feeds off of that kind of a concept, which I think is really cool.
And we tabletop role players love gambling with our lives and the lives of others
It's the
all the
best.
time.
It's so good. Um, to circle back to your question about my favorite characters I have played,
Hmm.
I think that my favorite one that I've played thus far in the podcast has been Kyrus
From the Star Wars.
from the Star Wars game. Yes, he was a Keldor Jedi guy,
Hmm.
uh, and I mean you know this, but a pacifist.
Yes, I do. I do know about this.
I
I was
never.
very sad. I was very sad when that story ended. But you guys do more than just like you're not focused on one thing. You're focused on doing a bunch of tabletops.
Yeah, yeah. So just for the listeners of this episode, the roleplay rejects, what we are trying to do, and what it the original concept was, is we were all like, constantly just saying like, "Oh, hey, did you hear about such and such RPG? We should play that someday. Did you hear about this one? We should play that someday." So on and so forth. And it
Hmm.
got to a point where we were like, "Why don't we fucking do it and record it, and not just record it in like a, oh, we'll play this 1 or 2 sessions and then we'll move on to the next thing," because there's a lot of mechanics in a lot of these games that you don't get to see if you limit yourself to just that 1 to 5 session kind of a thing. A lot of times you have to like really work at, or you have to like really play the game to get all of the different aspects of it. If we had done that Star Wars game
Hmm.
just 1 or 2 sessions, we wouldn't have seen all of like the different force powers and like how it actually feels leveling up
Hmm.
all that often. If we had done the Fallout game just 1 or 2 sessions, we wouldn't have really seen how it looks, especially at like higher level play. We had that one episode where we just jumped up to level 20 just to fuck around and see how it was and wrap up the story as well. Um,
It was a fun story. It was a good story.
Thank you. Yeah, that one was. I probably could have done it better, but you live and learn.
Well, we're always our own worst critics when it comes to this sort of stuff, especially when it's stuff that we have to show to other people.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I loved it. I thought it was really fun, and my one of my favorite characters I've ever role played is also from the Star Wars setting.
really,
Yeah, but not from the new Star Wars tabletop role playing, The Edge of the Empire. Mine was from the not the original, because there's three Star Wars tabletops. Mine was from the revised uh Star Wars role playing game, which came out in the early 2000s. Hold on one second. Yes, 2000. It actually came out in 2000.
yeah. I've
Uh,
never played that. The only one that I've ever played is the one by Fantasy Flight. I think is who makes that one.
Edge. Yes.
Yeah, Edge of the Empire, Force and Destiny, all those ones.
Hmm. My character was the exact opposite of your character. My character was a Trandoshan Sith in training, actually,
Ooh,
and he joined the group. And when my character joined the group, he had a blue lightsaber, but I was working actively against the team the whole time, and I was in private communications with a GM, and I was throwing a wrench into everything. Like I was sabotaging missions along the way and stuff like that. Eventually, my Trandoshan did become good, um, but it took a long time, and it took the whole team figuring out that, oh, you're actually a bad guy. You're not here to help us.
oh, that. So that is a very difficult line to play.
Mm-hmm.
Like being the evil kind of character,
Mm-hmm.
because like you, it's just so hard to try and be, like evil, edgy, whatever you want
Mm-hmm.
to say,
Mm-hmm.
but still make it a fun and enjoyable experience for everyone. Because a lot of times it does feel like if you're playing too evil, that everyone's just like, well, why do we even fucking keep you around? It doesn't make sense for our characters, even.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like I had to not like I couldn't actually hurt the characters. Like I couldn't go out of my way to kill the characters, of course. All I could do is like mess up the thing. And the reason for this is I forgot what the logical reason that this was. It's like I was ordered to not hurt them, but I did have to stop them. Like I had to slow them down. And I can't remember exactly what the in-game reasoning for that was. But
I mean, it definitely sounds like a cool character because I do. I mean, I think everyone kind of loves the whole like villain turned good guy
oh
kind of a
yeah,
story.
I used to be a big sucker for that kind of storyline, and I still kind of am. Um, I like my evil babies to become good in the long run. I am that sucker.
No,
But
I mean they're good stories. Like what we had with Signette, Wesley's character in the Star Wars game.
Hmm.
Like, it wasn't necessarily that, you know, Signette was turning good, but you were, like, seeing that kind of a internal struggle the whole game, which I
Oh,
thought
the
was
whole time. Oh
awesome.
yeah. And it wasn't just from Wesley's character; it's from everyone's character. Like everyone's character, had their own issues that they had to get through. At one point, your character even was just like, no, not your character. Jacob's character, I believe. Was it
Joseph's
Jacob's?
character, yeah.
Jason.
Or
Why do I
no.
call him Jacob?
No, he was the GM for that.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. It was your character. Yes, because we're talking about Carisiel. Carisiel. Carisiel.
Kyrus.
Kyrus. Why am I saying Carisiel?
No, you're good, man. Trust me, names are one of the things that I cannot remember for the life of me. I have to write them down to even come close
Yeah.
to remembering.
Yeah, and to not spoil anybody, not to spoil any of your potential listeners who are listening to this, but at one point your character was just like, "Fuck it," at one point, and was like flat out like, uh, tried to kill one of the like the bad guy,
Yeah,
like instead
which
of like subduing her.
yeah, which what he does not do and did not do up to that point.
Right. My character, and his name was Krisk. What
Oh,
he wound
nice.
up doing was, when he finally built his own lightsaber. He built a Tonfa lightsaber, and he would use it to defend himself, and he would never use it to attack. He would just punch with his other hand.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, like he would just punch or subdue somebody with his other hand. Like he got to the point where he did become sort of a pacifist in the long run. He wasn't shy about violence at all because he was a Trandoshan and still lived by the Trandoshan way. But he stopped like outright just, oh wow, you're threatening me. I guess I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah, kind of like skirting that murder hobo kind of
Mm,
mentality that persists a lot in a lot of these TTRPGs. Going back to like when you said that like you get to appreciate kind of like different aspects of. I don't know if you actually said it in this one. Before we started this one, I was listening to one of your other episodes, like in preparation.
mm-hmm,
But I think in that one you were talking about how your uh, like your own personality kind of like shines through with all of your characters,
mm-hmm.
which
Oh yeah.
I think is really like something that I try and do with a lot of my characters. Not necessarily as a GM. As a GM, I want to make like more interesting, maybe like the opposite of one of the characters, but has like close ties with them or something like that. But with my characters, I wanted to like Kyrus wasn't actually supposed to be a pacifist initially. I saw the bind power, the bind force power, and I thought that that was fucking awesome because this a scene kind of like appeared in my mind where Kyrus like walks into Tavern X.
Mm-hmm,
Guys stand up about to like pull weapons, and then he just says no, and then they stop. They're stuck there. He goes
mm-hmm,
and talks to the barkeep, walks out, and then they finally can move again. I thought that that was awesome, but just really quickly in playing the character, I just realized that like that's a very pacifistic kind of a move,
mm-hmm.
which allowed me to kind of like delve into something that I don't normally delve into when looking at characters for TTRPGs because most of the time it's like very combat focused and you don't want to be like a burden of the party just being like no I don't want to fight but it was cool that the Star Wars RPG kind of like allowed me to toy around with that idea and kind of like show me that hey maybe in the next character that I make maybe
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do nothing but killing.
Right.
I mean you see though with Fudge Puppy that I went polar opposite just trying to fuck around and see if I could do extremes kind of like testing my limits and everything.
I guess, and again, just so everybody understands what we're talking about, Fudge Puppy is a psycho character from Bunkers and Badasses that they are currently playing through. And if you don't know what a psycho is, it is basically just a crazy person in the Borderlands universe. Just absolutely lost their mind, batshit crazy person.
And
who
bloodthirsty, very
am
bloodthirsty.
very versatile. So the fact that you were able to convey actual human emotions, especially again with the whole giant scene and like a few scenes before that as well, that you were able to convey human emotions through this crazy individual, really good, really fascinating. I was very
Thank
taken
you.
aback when I was like I heard this character go from this crazy I'm gonna murder everything to a logic that actually made sense for the character.
Yeah, like, and it's hard to kind of strike that sort of a balance because, um, like, it's very illogical, almost anti-party kind of mentality of just being
Mhm.
like, well, he's a psycho. I need to kill everything.
Right,
But
right, and that's like it. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
yeah, and like trying because that's a big thing, right? Like, I think the most stereotypical example is a rogue, right?
Hmm.
People who play rogues, they're like, "Ooh, I'm mysterious. I'm a thief. I'm a lone wolf,
Oh
off
yeah,
doing my own thing."
that is the well, what is it? I forgot what Joe Cat said, but it was basically like rogues gotta be kleptomaniacs, bards gotta fuck everything, and wizards have to set everything on fire.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I
Hmm.
know that there is a happy medium where you can still show those aspects of your character. Absolutely. I'm not saying, don't be a bard and try and fuck everything. I'm not saying don't be a kleptomaniac rogue. What I
Oh,
am
I hold
saying
on.
is,
I will say it. Don't be a bard and try to fuck everything. Stop it. You know what you're trying to do. Quit it.
okay, fair enough, fair enough. I I just think that there is a happy medium where you
Hmm.
can still show those aspects of your character but not have it be whenever your bard opens his mouth that all the other players are just rolling their eyes because they know what's going to be coming. And like
Right.
I think even with Fudge Puppy, it's I crossed that line a couple times where I'm like, I'm gonna cut a guy in half
Yeah. Yeah.
because I
Poor
can.
Fred.
Yeah,
Yeah.
poor
Poor
Fred.
Fred. Fred just wanted to feed his family.
Yeah, or like people are having serious conversations, and then I'm like, I think Fudge Puppy would just jump in on this, but you never want to use those words. It's what my character would do. That
Right.
it detracts from the enjoyment of a lot of these systems.
Yeah. All jokes aside, like if you do want to play a bard, play a bard. Like nobody, like no one should stop you from playing what you want to play. And speaking of like a happy medium, I myself have found that in a bard character before, and I got it from somebody else who sort of kind of gave me the idea. Where it was a bard, but he was a death metal bard, and
Oh,
he had this like you know how you have spiked maces on the chains.
yeah.
Well, he would wrap the metal around, he would wrap the chain around his arm, and he would hold the head of the mace, the spiked mace, in his hand, and he would like scream into it, death metal style, and it would cause everybody bleeding damage.
I
Uh,
fucking love that. That is
and it
awesome.
was and it was really fun, especially as um I am a metalhead on the inside, as I like to say. I don't get to do a mohawk anymore, but I on the inside I still love to listen to my favorite bands.
Oh, I mean, same here. Job for a Cowboy, and all Nakarth. Shit, I fucked that one up. I know I did. Carnifex. All those
Kind
ones.
of
I love metal or metal, deathcore, whatever.
um
If they're screaming, I usually like it.
if you haven't heard of the band called Necrogoblicon, uh I highly I highly suggest it. It's one of my favorite bands in the world.
That's what I'm going to be listening to tomorrow. Then, well, today, I guess.
Are you I hope I'm not keeping you up too late.
Oh, no, 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 no. I hope I'm not keeping you up too late because I know you got a kid to look after and everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna be waking up at the bright early hours of 7 tomorrow to go do some stuff.
Ooh.
It's okay. I am used to it. I actually get off work at 11, and I have to stay up until probably about 12 before I actually get to wind down and go to sleep because I still have to get home and do everything, so on and so forth.
Oh, dang.
Um, I just I'm just so happy that you're here being able to talk with me. I really appreciate you.
No, I'm happy that you managed to fit me into your schedule because I mean, as I'm sure you have noticed, it's been like almost 2 hours now. Well, hour and a
Oh
half.
yeah,
So like, yeah, we've like
and
I just like talking about this stuff, and it's nice to have another person to talk to.
right, and that's another thing. So that's the reason why I'm trying to do all this is because people want to talk about this. It's just that there's no real place to talk about this. Of course, you can talk to your friends about it, and you can find a podcast here or there. But there's not many of us who really want to talk about like the deep, intricate complexities of like character development in role playing games, and versus like real life. Like, there's no real people. There are people out there who talk about it, but we're just not widely known. That's the reason why I'm trying to create this system where people can go and find that. Um,
Yeah, yeah, like the website that you're making. I mean, it's
mhm.
I hope that it can become everything that we're all kind of hoping that it can become because it's
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's taking a long time, and like I said, I kind of had to restart my life this last couple of months. Um, so it's taking me a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but yeah, you know, things happen, and as long as you just keep trucking with it, and I honestly feel this about your podcast. If you just keep going with it, I do think you're going to be one of the better ones out there. I think you guys are all truly good at what you're doing.
uh, thank thank you. I mean, I hope we can continue living up to those expectations. We'll see, I guess.
And
Uh,
if I hope you don't mind that we kind of come to a close, if that's okay with you,
no, you're good.
unless you have more to talk about, or
I
more that you want to talk about.
I could talk endlessly,
Um,
days, weeks straight, but I
uh, well, I tell you what, we will come back to this and like have a part two to this at some point. Like, we will roundabout, and I'll get back with you, and we'll do like another episode together because I would love to talk with you and the rest of the group. But like, as a parting note, I do want to say, if Wesley's boys don't get
sorry, I
closure
just
at the end of this, I'm gonna be real upset.
yeah, I'm hoping that they do, but god damn, is
My
it so
boys.
fucking funny.
My boys. God, like I love Joseph's characters. I love Misty when she was doing her characters. I love your characters. I've loved everyone's characters, but when Wesley says things, I laugh. I laugh so much, and I don't
He's
know if
hilarious. He's
he
the
is.
best.
He is, and if I don't know if he believes it or not, but I need you to make sure he knows that if he quits, we're done, and that's it.
Now I'll let him know, and I tell him constantly too. And like I don't know if he believes me quite yet, but I'm hoping that maybe like I'll just be like, hey, listen to this, and
Hmm.
then hopefully he'll get it. But yeah, but I mean, I don't want him to get too full of himself because then I might.
Oh yeah, you know what, Wesley? Come on, man, come on. You gotta step it up, man. You
Yeah,
gotta step it up.
heck you, Wesley. Gosh.
Oh goodness gracious! All right, so before we go, feel free to plug yourself as much as possible right now. Go right ahead.
Okay. Oh shit. I probably should have
Duh,
had
duh.
like a written thing for this. So hi, I'm Damian. It's been a pleasure being on here and bullshitting. I love bullshitting about all sorts of nerd things. Uh, I have a podcast, Roleplay Rejects. You can listen to it just about anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. We have our, I think it's semi-unique logo that you should be able to see. We're currently working on actually making stickers, which I'll need to send you one of them, or
I love
shit like
stickers.
40 of them, something. But anyways, Roleplay Rejects. We are a podcast who do try out a bunch of different TTRPGs for a much more extended period of time. We're not talking 1 or 2 sessions. We're talking, I think Fallout had close to 20, Star Wars had close to 20. I'm pretty sure Bunkers and Badass is going to have close to 20. And we sprinkle in some other RPGs in there too. We had Adventure Skeletons, which is a unique one-page role-playing
Hmm.
game. We had shoot, what is that other one?
Lady
Cat
Blackbird.
Lady Blackbird. Thank you. Um, Yeah, our goal is to try out every single RPG out there.
Hmm.
Where we try and make it so that then there's a unique story in there. And for those who like the crunch, like myself, we also try and kind of explain a lot of the rules, and kind of give our feedback, if you will, at
Hmm.
the end of each of the games.
Really quick before we end this out, as a personal note to you and like all the viewers listening, if people do listen to this,
Oh, people do.
oh,
I do.
um,
I do. I'll be there.
I appreciate you. And I'll send you a link, and I'll put the link down in the description below on the show notes, so people can know. If you're looking for like obscure role playing games, the gaming table on YouTube is led by a delightful woman named Lexi, and she reviews these oddball games that you just really never hear of. So and I'll send you the link. So if you're ever looking for like an idea of what to play next, like she is a good person to go to. Like one of the things that she recently reviewed was a game called what was it, Dark Waters, give me one second, ba, ba, ba.
One Mississippi.
Oh no, that's not enough. Um, yes, it's called Backwater, a
Okay.
Southern Gothic horror tabletop role playing game that takes
That sounds
place in
awesome.
like, yeah, it takes place in like the bayous, and I grew up in the bayous, so like it is something that I personally definitely want to play. Because I grew up with all the spookiness of the swamps and all the oddball sounds and lights that you might hear out there. Um, so, yeah, if you,
Yeah, I mean, so right now we're kind of, I guess, a little bit more on like mainstream stuff, just because this is some of the things that we wanted to try out and
hmm
play.
hmm
But my hope is that at some point in the future we can play like games that people all have created just kind of like by themselves, or like I saw online that there was a SCP universe role playing game that
hmm
I haven't heard much of anything else about, other than when I was like listening to a lot of SCP stuff, or uh, like this backwater game sounds awesome. Like I said, I want to try them all.
and I agree with you. I also want to I also want to try them all. I just never have enough time.
Oh, fucking time! Like if only.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Damien, for joining me. And
Thank
viewers,
you for having
again,
me.
just to make sure that you guys all know, Damien is from the Roleplay Rejects. They have a tabletop role playing podcast. Again, I'll link it below. You can find them at the roleplayrejects.com. You can find their podcast on, correct me if I'm wrong, pretty much all podcasting platforms.
Pretty much all podcasting platforms except for Pandora. It was really weird trying to get that registered. But
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like
I
listen
don't.
anywhere
I
else.
I also don't have this on Pandora because it has been very weird to get it on Pandora. Um,
Yeah,
but
but
yeah,
yeah, you did better plugging my plugging our fucking show than I did.
you can also find them on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
You do,
Instagram.
yes,
We
yes, you do
have
have it.
all of our pictures. Like if we say like we'll put it on the gram a lot in the game. So if you want to like see some of the weird symbols going on, or like you want an idea of what the map looks like, it's all on the gram.
And you also have a Facebook page, I believe.
We have Facebook, Twitter. I think we have basically everything, but we're way more active on Instagram. If you'd like us to be active elsewhere, go ahead and send us an email at roleplayrejects@gmail.com.
Yes, and if you really, really like what they are doing, please, for the love of, if you like me, go support them, please. You can support them on Patreon, actually.
Oh yeah, we have Patreon too. If that is something that you want to do, well, we're hoping to get like a Patreon exclusive shows on there. Try and like expand the business.
Hmm. It's difficult to get out there because everyone thinks that Critical Role is like the end all be all of what role playing actually is, and people don't understand that Critical Role has several writers, and they have like they have all these different things that are pre-planned. You guys don't do that. You have a GM who plans things, but you, the players, actually are living through it right then and there, not everything else.
Yeah, like I don't think that Critical Role is like scripted or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
But it it's got that produced feeling
Mm-hmm.
to it, and kind of detracts from just getting around a table and just playing games.
Mm-hmm. Well, um, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for coming on. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it, and I'd be more than honored to have you come back and
Support this
um
man's website and everything that he does.
um and I guess this is time for my own shameless plug. Um, you can find this podcast on pretty much every single. Wait, you're already listening to it, so why would I need to say that? Thank you for listening to this podcast, everybody.
There you go, and you can check out his website at Core Role Players Guild.
Yeah, the coreroleplayers.guild.com. I plan on I have several different podcasts up there right now. I have actually more coming on there pretty soon. I upload at least 3 tabletop role playing games every week, which is what I've been getting ready for. I have like 15 ready to go up there. I support creators all over, whether they are large and small, because what I'm trying to really do is bridge the role playing community altogether, whether that be cosplaying, MMO role playing, tabletop role playing, whether and just trying to help people find the communities that really helps them fit into place in this weird thing that we love to do.
Yeah, the one-stop shop of role playing.
That's what I'm trying to get to. And someday it'll be. Actually, I don't think it'll ever be exactly what I want, because every single time I stop to go, is this all I want to do? I go, no. There's so much more. There's so much more I can do for people.
No, dude, I can't fucking wait. Like, you have a lot of stuff on here about like MMO role playing that I should probably try and get into. But then again, I'm also worried that like all of my life will be sucked into all of that. But yeah, like I'm excited for what your what the Core Role Players Guild will be.
I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. All right, thank you everybody for listening. Damian, once again, thank you for joining us,
Of
and
course, anytime.
that's all I got. So until 2 weeks from now, stay in character.
Deuces.
I know I said at the beginning of all this, but it feels so good to be talking with people again. I love role playing, and I love having these conversations, and I hope that you enjoy this conversation that I had with Damian. Please, if you have the time just to listen to another podcast or two, go listen to the Roleplay Rejects. They have a lot to offer, and I think you'll enjoy them just as much as I have. And now it's time for that question of the week. You know, that thing that I'm starting to do now. So let's do something simple, and I'll read them off next week. What is your character's name? You can give me your most difficult characters, you can give me a bunch of your characters. Just tell me what your character's name is, and I'll be more than happy to try to read it next week, and you can laugh at me and tell me how bad I failed. Apologies in advance, I am not an English major. And that's all the time I have for this week. I was planning on doing this every other weekend, but I'm going to try to do this every week. So, we'll see how it goes. I'll see you guys next week, and till then, stay in character. Or stay out of character, you know, whatever works.